Today I'll be talking about the movie Shattered Glass. Shattered Glass gives an interesting perspective on the outlook of a young journalist living out his dream job working at the famous publication, The New Republic. However, his brilliant reporting turns out to be entirely made up. Here are some of my biggest takeaways. The editor, Chuck, in the movie, in my view, is the most ethical character in the entire film, despite how mean he appears based on the other characters' attitudes towards him. The role of the professional peers in the movie seem to be they want to be Glass. They want to be like him because he's so successful and he has this incredible knack for finding these oddball stories that are hilarious and exciting. And also, it's because of his personality. He's extremely charismatic throughout the entire movie, and he's always seems shy about how he feels about his work. And he ends every single pitch with, "I don't know, it might be stupid." Of course, everyone laughs, and of course, he always gets the part. That was one of the most interesting parts. Another part for me was Stephen Glass's personal character that you see at the very end of the movie. Throughout the movie, he continuously kind of talks to this audience from his grade school teacher. And at the very end, you realize he's just staring at a blank audience. There's no one in the room, and he's just reliving his whole story, all falling apart. And that was a really interesting side of the story to me, because it kind of made me think about Stephen Glass's character in the sense of the way he sees himself seemed almost narcissistic or sociopathic, just given how charismatic he was towards everyone and how humble he was, and yet he was untruthful. But that was one of the biggest things that stuck out to me, was at the very end of the movie, he never really gives up. He even tells Chuck when he's fired that he's worried about being a danger to himself. And Chuck immediately just shakes it off and says, "That's a hell of a story, Steve," and moves away. And to me, that was one of the most exciting parts of the movie. Another part was kind of my takeaway of the role of a reporter. I kind of learned how the main characteristics of a reporter are to be clear, truthful, and short-worded in their reporting. And for the role of the editor, it's just to ensure that the reporter's writing grabs the audience's attention while being factually correct. But when it comes to the two working together, that's kind of where I think the movie took an interesting turn, because it started off with Michael Kelly, who, in my opinion, didn't really seem like a really good reporter or good editor, because he had so much faith in all of his reporters. Blind faith, sorry. He wanted to believe them every step of the way. And even when Steve got fact-checked the first time about the mini fridges at the bar in the hotel, Michael Kelly calls and checks up on it, but kind of shakes it off as, oh, it was a simple mistake, when in reality, he probably should have done some more digging. And everyone hates Chuck for that, but Chuck is definitely the most ethical character in the whole film, as I said earlier, and he, at the very end, shows it to everyone. And of course, at the end, everyone kind of sees him as the hero. But that was the most, that kind of represented the reader's interest more than anything else in the movie, for me, at least. In conclusion, speak truth to power. In my view, that kind of means the newsroom is the power of information, and as the reporter, you have to follow a code of ethics to always tell the truth and always be factually right. As for suggestions I would make to change in the newsroom to help avoid what happens in the film, I think in this era, it's slightly harder to get away with what Stephen Glass did, although not too hard, as mentioned in class with Mike Ward. There is still that loophole, but I feel like as the receptionist talked about to Chuck, that very last line in the movie where she said, this could have all been avoided with photos of people. I feel like that statement is more relevant today because of social media. I feel like it is much harder to get away with lying. But I think that loophole will always be there unless reporters, are possibly assigned to always be with another person following them around as they're investigating a journalist piece. I'm not sure, but those are my greatest takeaways. Thank you.